Modi as India's Prime Minister, Sunak as the UK's Prime Minister, and Ramaswamy as the American President. Is that the trio that can bring a paradigm shift in global affairs? Is that the trio that can transform the world we live in? And would it be the most powerful Hindu trio that our world has ever seen in recent times? Well, they say that if or when this trio comes together, one can expect the world to be a lot different than what it is today. So if these three really came together, just imagine what it could mean for the world. Well, in today's video, we will explore that, but first things first. Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister of the UK, has clearly and confidently mentioned that he's a proud Hindu. Narendra Modi needs no introduction. And then the 38-year-old Republican presidential hopeful Vivek Ramaswamy has said, "I'm Hindu and I'm proud of that." Do you see this man? Give him another look. Are we seeing America's future president? Well, many think we are. But could this trio be a nightmare for some? If yes, then for whom? Well, for Hindu-phobic India haters, this definitely doesn't sound like good news. If you have three powerful world leaders who are all proud to be a Hindu, there is one thing that I can tell you. Expansionism-seeking, exclusivity-seeking, anti-pluralism monotheistic religions and their radical followers aren't going to be too supportive of it. And on the other hand, the arrival of this trio on the global stage could also mean that Hindus' naturally accommodating behavior, their ethos that naturally support pluralism, and their universal familyhood approach are likely to gain worldwide popularity. So first, let's start with India's Prime Minister Modi. According to the latest approval ratings published by Morning Consult, Mr. Modi is the head of all these global leaders. And yes, India is transforming economically, and even the Western media, though quite hesitantly, has started to acknowledge it. The Guardian published an article that mentioned that India is quietly laying claim to economic superpower status, and according to a recent report by Morgan Stanley, India transformed in less than a decade, and today's India is different from 2013. Observing India's outstanding GDP performance, Reuters has reported that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who remains popular after 9 years in power, has stepped up capital spending in the past few years to build roads, railways and new airports to revive the economy after the pandemic. The Economist says that India's property market is ready for takeoff, and that is the result of a cleanup by Narendra Modi's government. It also says that India's once troubled banks are generating huge profits, adding that Narendra Modi's government also deserves credit. Aadhaar revolution, geo-revolution, infrastructure revolution, India seems to be exploding on many fronts. The African Union is a permanent member of the G20 family thanks to the key contributions from Mr. Modi. And despite all the criticism Modi receives, it seems that many Muslims love him too. Many nations around the world, including Muslim nations, have honored him. The list of the honors that this man is receiving is getting longer and longer. Now, Ramaswamy. The first question that many ask: how on earth can this Hindu man get support from America's Bible Belt? As far as the radical Christian fundamentalists in the USA are concerned, Ramaswamy's Hindu religion and his Hindu gods have already attracted some negative attention.
You're going to let him put all of his strange gods up in the White House and we're just supposed to blink because he understands policies?
So how is this Hindu man working to attract Christian voters? Well, Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy says he practices Hinduism but shares the same values as Christians. But as described here, how can a person like Ramaswamy promote an ideology that appears so hostile to his own demographic? It has been observed that Ramaswamy is trying to redefine his Hinduism in a way that sounds similar to Christianity. And will that work? Only time will tell. But there are things that seem far more important. If he leads the US, will he be able to take action against those who have given government funding to fundamentalist Christian organizations that are working on the total evangelization of the world? If he leads the US, will he be able to positively influence America's powerful military-industrial complex? Will he be able to work independently without facing any pressure from radicalized Christian fundamentalists? Will he be able to rise against the attempts at cultural genocide of Hindus? As far as Rishi Sunak is concerned, he's not as popular as Modi, as one can see. And it seems that radical Christians in the UK do not like him. As mentioned here, Rishi Sunak's religious identity under radar as Christian UK gets first Hindu Prime Minister. And as reported here, Colin Pruitt, operations associate at the American Conservative, said, "A Hindu Prime Minister is now responsible for advising King Charles on appointments to the Church of England. Britain is dead. UK-based Galdem magazine tweeted, Rishi Sunak's undemocratic election as Prime Minister is not a win for diversity, and we are not celebrating it as one. Rishi Sunak may be the Prime Minister of the UK, but he seems to be too weak to dismantle the rigid Christian colonial designs on which the UK is built. Rishi Sunak may be the Prime Minister of the UK, but he seems to be too weak to influence the security and intelligence apparatus of the British state. And how about countries like China, Pakistan, Turkey and Russia? How would they possibly react to the possible arrival of this trio? As far as the Russia-Ukraine war is concerned, Ramaswamy tweeted, I will end the Ukraine war on terms that require Putin to exit his military alliance with China. Many in Russia and Europe are likely to welcome that, as somehow with Ramaswamy's arrival, they foresee the possibility of Russia and Ukraine reaching some kind of settlement. And as far as China, Pakistan and Turkey are concerned, it is important to understand that these three countries have attempted to develop a sort of nexus. Critics say that these three countries act as if they are partners in crime. So yes, there is some natural bonding and similar geopolitical interest involved there. Yes, Turkey and Pakistan, who have butchered or oppressed Muslim minorities in their country, quite ironically, pretend to be the champion of the global Muslim community. And yes, in a way, both countries also support the brutal Islamization of India's Kashmir, and both nations on international platforms refuse to properly acknowledge Kashmir's pre-Islamic Hindu identity. So if this trio ever becomes reality, Pakistan's nefarious anti-Hindu agenda may feel a bit suffocated. And in the worst-case scenario for Pakistan, Turkey and China, the trio can potentially be their nightmare. Anyway, with the CCP in charge in China, terrorist groups and the army dominating affairs in Pakistan, and with Erdogan's hardline approach, this nexus was never meant to heal or save the world. And finally, how about the United Nations? Will we finally see terms like Hinduphobia and Hindumesia occupying space in mainstream discussions and becoming a part of international policy making? Well, experts believe that it is likely. But still, in the global hierarchical system, things aren't that easy if you are a Hindu, and it is likely that it won't be an easy journey for any of them. See you again.